Hello, this is Gene. I know it's been a long time since I've talked on this channel. I did an unboxing with Bruce Lee's Greatest Hits a couple days ago. Not a whole lot of people watch that, but I'll keep putting it up there in case somebody wants the digital copy of those people we talked about. Whatever, just let me know. But I want to talk about something a little bit more important, let's say. There's a UFC fighter that I've followed for a long time, even before she got the UFC. She is probably the most decorated MMA fighter, a women's fighter ever. She's not currently a champion, but she was a boxing champion, and she had one of the greatest upsets ever when she beat Ronda Rousey in Australia to win the championship. Um, she is Holly Holm, and I'm not going to disparage her because, as a person, for what I see on the internet, on social media, she seems like she's a very nice person. Um, she has some issues, personal wise. She's been separated from her husband for a while, and she's 38 years old and doesn't have any kids. And yesterday she put out a tweet on Twitter and on Instagram, and I just want to talk about this a little bit. And again, if anybody actually sees this, any women who sees this, I mean, the people who usually watch my channel are men, boys, whatever. And I'm sure some might get offended by this, but sometimes I think this needs to be talked. It needs to be talked about, and why she's saying this stuff now. It seems pretty clear to me. Again, I'm just a amateur psychologist. I don't know anything, but I've seen this before in my life. I'm 55 years old. I've been around women around my entire life. I've seen this trait happen. Even people who are famous and accomplished as she is. It's just interesting that she would put out this tweet and this thing on Instagram, and it's almost like she's trying to act for some approval. So I'm just going to say what she said, and I want to talk about it. And please just comment civilly in the comments, and we'll talk about it. And again, thank you for coming back to the channel. So let me just go look at her, what she said real quick. I've got to redo this again. Again, this is somebody that I respect, especially as an athlete. I think I was one of those few people that thought that she would beat Ronda Rousey because Ronda's stand-up game was not that good, and I thought that she could win the fight, standing on her, not being taken down, and could outpoint her. But Ronda got upset, and she realized she's not the same level as as Holly Holmes, and she got exactly what she deserved, I guess. And I'd love to see Ronda back, not in the UFC. I'd like to have her back in the WWE because I think she's a real talent, and she could be great there. But anyway, let me talk about what she said. Not much. It says, a woman should be two things, who and what she wants. So we are living in a society right now, and I'm gonna rant a little bit here. Is there anything wrong with that, per se? I mean, any woman, with this whole movement in this society is that women have to be empowered. Because apparently society's against them. We've been hearing this for the last 30 years, that somehow the society is basically built against women. And the people that usually talk like this are white women. As much as I try to advocate for the people, our people, when you see our country being taken away from us when it comes to demographic changes, sometimes you have to call out women. And nobody does it anymore because they're going to be called, they fear being sexist by saying it. And again, there's nothing really aggressive about this at all. This is just what I see from the outside looking in. And I don't know her, never met her, anything like that. Again, athletically, and we know nothing about celebrities or athletes, right? We could all think that they're really good people, and then we find out stuff about them and you realize, oh my God, they're not really that good. But everything I get from her, it seems like that she's a decent human. But why is, at this point in her career, or that she decides to tweet this out, why do you think that's happening? And I'm just going to say, this is a woman that's 38 years old. She's accomplished a lot, gets paid at the same level that men do. When she was winning, especially against Rousey, after she won that fight, I'm sure she got paid an enormous amount of money. And she's had many opportunities after that to get a championship back, and she just hasn't done it. She's beaten better. She's lost to better fighters. She's kind of old school, and her talent set is great, but the sport has actually evolved so much. That's why Ronda couldn't come back and do anything unless somebody got a championship that she could somehow get him down and submit him that way. But that's how the sport is. But when she says that women only should only have two things, go back and make sure that I say it right again. And again, nobody's going to say that there's anything wrong with this, right? Right? This a man should be two things: who and what she wants. Okay, now I'm going to get into this. There's a reason why women are in this world. They're there to reproduce. Not all, but the normative thing to do is for women to reproduce and to be caretakers for the next generation. That doesn't mean that women can't go to work. Doesn't mean that they can't do both things. But what we see now is that we've been pushing women into this area so they can be like men, so they can compete with men. And then later on, when they get in the middle ages, around 35, if they haven't had kids yet, they start saying things like this. Because I'm sure someone in her life has probably said, hey, have you ever thinking about having kids? Or maybe her parents have been talking about it. You know, her moniker, her handle, is the preacher's daughter. She's 38 years old and doesn't have any kids. And the question is, did she decide that her career was more important than to have kids? You know, we've seen a lot of great female athletes to go away and have kids. Becky Lynch is doing that. She's having a kid, and she always wanted to have a kid. I think Ronda Rousey's going to have one at some point as well. And of course, I don't think they're having enough. You know, I think that women, especially white women, should need to have more because we're not replacing ourselves. And it's not good that this country is going to be basically all multiculturalism. And we're just going to be fighting each other all the damn time because that's what happens when tribes are in the same area. It's going to happen. And you can see what's happening now with the protests and everything becomes white against black. It is what it is. But getting back to this, it's like nobody, again, is not going to say anything that negative about that. Well, women should be able to do what they want to do, right? Okay, we should allow them to have abortions then because women know exactly what's best. We should allow women to just have, do whatever they want to do when they're carrying a baby. Smoke, drink, whatever. We should allow them to do that. And they should be able to do who they want to be. What does that mean? That basically a man could be a woman or a woman could just change to be a man? Overall, again, there's nothing really wrong with that. But why is somebody that has 400,000 people following her? That's on Twitter. I don't know what she has on Instagram. I would say overall she probably has closer to 1 million people that are following her that make that statement. Why would somebody who has the success that she has have to make that statement? What has she seen? What happened to her that she has to make that statement? And I think it's pretty clear. And again, just my opinion. I think that she knows she's at that point that she probably did the wrong thing and she put her career first. She separated from her husband. They're not having any kids together. I'm sure she has an issue about that. Again, not all women have that drive to have babies. But it's about 99% that do. The idea that there is no a baby clock that goes on in women. It's part. If you believe in evolution, even if you're a Christian, you can still believe the fact that God instilled into women that need to have babies. And once they have the babies, it allows them to be more empathetic. The problem in this society, do we want women to be more and more like men? And they're going to have no empathy. When men are competitive, they don't have empathy or sympathy for the people they're competing against. They might, after they win, and the next day they might shake hands and be friends again, but they're not going to do it when they're going for that next promotion. They're not going to do it. And women are in the same position now, and they're having those same traits that men have, and it's not good. It's not good for the family unit, and it's not good for the United States. It's not good for the West. And we're seeing the results of all of this happening. And again, this might just be an off-the-cuff type of thing that she did, and it doesn't mean anything about it. But she's 38 years old. She's coming close to that 40, where it becomes very, very difficult to have a baby. And if you do, the chances of having a kid that has issues, and we had one. My son was 31. My wife was 31 when we had Kyle, and he had a lot of issues. Now he's a great kid, and we never would ever thinking about aborting him. but what we knew, the issues that he had before we had him, it was never in our idea to ever do anything like that, because once, in my view, once the conception has happened, that is a different human, and to kill that person is, in my mind, is killing. So that small little statement from her, one sentence, has so much power to it. And what that really means is, you as a woman do whatever you want to do, and whoever you want to do, and be whatever you want to be. It's like, in this country, we can do whatever we want to do. Well, there is always some sort of obstacles when it comes to that. You need to be within the law to do it correctly, right? And she should understand by making that statement that, what is she actually trying to say? If she's not going to come back and expound on that. What do you mean why women need to be who they want to be, or who they want to be? Who is telling her that she can't be what she wanted to do? I get she was fighting as a boxer when she wasn't getting a whole lot of money, and she was a very few females that were there. So she is a trailblazer, and I think that that's great. And I think maybe she's trying to say this in a statement. But when she's 38 years old, and now she's saying this is something she should have said and I'm sure she probably did something, a similar thing of this. But this sounds like something happened to her recently. Somebody said something to her, and she thought by saying this stuff, maybe we just get it off her chest, and then she would get it out there and get some, not sympathy back, but get some positive reinforcements by those things. Again, that statement, there's nothing really wrong with it. But again, why do you think somebody who's almost 40 years old, who's not with her husband anymore, who's not done well the last 3 or 4 years in the UFC, why do you think she's saying that? What does she think she's missing out on? And why do you think there might be a little bit of depression there? And I think that if you've seen Holly Holmes and how she responds, and sometimes in her fights that she can't pull the trigger, either anxiety that she has, whatever, she pretty much shows it out there on her emotions all the time. And again, this is not supposed to be an attack against her. It's just what I see as a man. And of course, people are going to say, well, you're a man. You don't understand how women are. I grew up with women my entire life. I've seen this. And I've seen the statistics that women are so depressed right now. They're so sad because they've been pushed into this thing that no one really asked them to do it. They were sold this idea that the society was against them, especially white women. I mean, it's just, like I said, I try to advocate for white people because no one else is doing it. But this idea that women, especially white women are somehow oppressed in society, it's crazy. They're the most privileged entities on the earth, Western white women. And you see with the Karen meme and all that stuff that the society understands this. But I do feel bad for them because they've been pushed into this area, and no men are standing up to talk about it. No men are saying what their real leadership role is in the family. Is the man, you can say what Jesse Lee Peterson says, that it's from God, Jesus, to the father, to the mother, to the kids. The men are supposed to rule the house. Now, that's what the Bible says. I think that there's ways to do that in the Western world, a modern world, how that men still should be the leadership in the house. But of course, the women is supposed to keep the glue in the entire house, because women have that innate ability to be, like I said, be empathetic, to be the good cop against the bad cop when you're disciplining your kids. And women are starting to lose that. And there's way too many, especially in the black community, you see that when there's no men in the house, that the sons of these women are like their mothers, and they become so emotional, so feminized, whatever. And you see them in these shows like Last Chance University, and these men are just young boys, young men, are just so emotional. And regardless of race, and this is what's happening. And I'm not saying that men shouldn't have emotions, because you have this conversation all the time about women. And when men kill themselves, and they say, oh, because men never go up and ask, or never ask for counseling or anything like that, and we should emote. Well, that's not really how we're made up to do. So it is what it is, right? I just got a message from my wife. My son is getting an interview, and this is, she's always helping him out, and she's a driving force in our family, much more than me. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who makes the rules. I'm the one that she looks at me to provide and protect. And this is not society telling her this. This is an innate feature of the female species. It is. And you keep pushing this shit down, and then people get in their mind and they teach their kids the same shit, and they go to school and the same shit's happening there. And these women they got this idea, these girls are figuring out, my God, I'm being oppressed. And then they go, oh, I got to prove everybody that I can do this stuff. And meanwhile, they're getting all the admonitions to saying that they're a minority, so they get the nice ways to get up. Go to a high school awards ceremony, anywhere in the United States, and see how many young girls are getting the awards and where the boys are. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking that this society has gone so far to reward women to everything, because this idea that we somehow failed them 40 years ago. But Nee, well, that's her texting me on the other whatever. And now men are just so far and over here, and this idea that men are just doing well. It's so much going on right now, and this statement opens up everything in my mind and what's so wrong with society right now, regardless of what's going on with the virus and all that stuff. But just men are just not excelling. But to have somebody that's successful and somebody that was a trailblazer basically coming out saying, feel sorry for me because I'm a woman and women should be allowed to whoever they want to be and who they want. Okay, thanks for that. Could you do something a little bit more instructive about it? Could you talk about the fact that there are no male abuse places in the United States, one or two? Could we talk about there are no male federal agency for male health? The epidemic of suicide for men. Now, I'm sure she probably understands some of this stuff, and she's probably talked about it. I mean, she knows Rousey and what happened to her dad. So there are people in the UFC that talks about stuff like this, and the UFC happens to be more of a middle-of-the-road type of organization. They have conservatives, they have liberals, and they allow them both to say what they want to have to say. It's interesting how this happens. And she didn't get 1,000 retweets or anything like that. Just not much at all, to be honest. And nobody came back and went after her. And I'm not going after her right either. It's just interesting to me that somebody, like I said, as successful as she is, it sounds like almost like a call for something, that there's something in her life that she doesn't have right now. And I'm going to say it's probably because she's not having any babies. That's something almost every woman wants, and every man wants to pass down his line. And I guess she was at that time that she was challenging for the championship, and she was a champion. So it makes it very difficult. She has to fight every 6 months. You can't really have a baby in between that. It sucks. And I guess that she could possibly have one later, but I think that's what the issue is. And I'm not saying she's asking for sympathy, but anyway, just let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, it's just something I noticed, and I know there's a lot of other shit going out, and that one statement could just make me go off into other areas, and I've done that many, many times. But I want to keep this thing under 20 minutes because I'll just keep talking about it, and I'll say what I think that this really comes into. If enough people watch this movie or this video, I'll talk about the other things I want to talk about that are related. They're not directly, but indirectly. And again, I love her as an athlete, and one of the greatest athletic feats I ever saw. How happy I was after she knocked out Rondo. One of the greatest, my top 10 of all time. And I know she won't see this, but I still love you as an athlete. I just wonder why you did that, and if there's something that's going on with you. Anyway, you have a good day. The people are watching this, and just share this and like it, and we'll talk about the comments. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.